Many of you probably have a favorite pair of speakers that you had in high school or college, stashed away somewhere in the house, maybe in the basement, and maybe one day you're feeling nostalgic and think maybe I should try putting those speakers back into service. Maybe you still have your receiver, your turntable, and you want to set up a little vintage system. Now, in many cases, you're going to find that if the speakers have been sitting for many, many years or many, many decades, that they're going to need some refurbishment. And that could include, if they have foam surrounds, they may have been disintegrated over time and have to be replaced. But one thing that people commonly talk about is, recapping crossovers. And you'll find on any forum or discussion group people talking about recapping their crossovers. Now, obviously, there are going to be some things on speakers that are old, 40, 50 years old, that are going to need to be refurbished. Many speakers had controls on the crossover to let you adjust the treble balance and things like that, and those can get really corroded and scratchy over time, and obviously contact cleaner or even replacing them outright is a great thing. But I want to caution you, and I try to not wade into these discussions. As a speaker designer, people will think that I have an agenda for Axiom by, saying you should do this or shouldn't do that. So I stay out of the discussions, but I just wanted to give you, very clear guidance if you're going to do this recap, as it's so called. So the first thing that I want to mention is that on a typical crossover unit that has inductors, capacitors, and resistors, it's very, very unlikely for resistors and inductors to go bad unless the speaker has really been badly overdriven with an overpowered amplifier, and you'll see discoloration maybe. Sometimes even the bobbin that inductor wire is wound on, they can be partially melted. And if you see that, yes, maybe you should look at replacing them. But otherwise, I would recommend just staying away from changing, inductors or resistors. And I should say here, I'm going to stay out of the audiophile, there's better parts and they're going to sound better, and you do whatever you want. They're your speakers, it's your money. But you will see in this recapping people talking about changing those capacitors. Now, on this crossover, there are no so-called electrolytic capacitors. These are all film capacitors. And film capacitors don't tend to go bad with time either. In very rare cases, they might, again, if the speaker was stressed, but in most cases, they're going to be perfectly fine. And if you want to be comfortable with that and you've got the crossover out of your speaker anyway, you can pop it out, unsolder it, and use a capacitance meter to check for the value and the what's called the ESR, or the equivalent series resistance. Most of the time, what people are worried about in older crossover networks are electrolytic capacitors that tend to look like cylinders like this. Hope you can see that. Now, electrolytic capacitors, as the name suggests, they have what's called an electrolyte, and it's a liquid inside them. And these capacitors can dry out over time. They won't necessarily all the time, but they can. And I think part of the problem is that a lot of people will assume a capacitor is a capacitor, whether it's they don't have an electrical background, a technical background, and like I said, they read all of these forum posts about, I can now take my speaker and make it sound 1,000,000 times better by recapping the crossover. And what they'll do is they'll take all the capacitors off, whether they're film, whether they're not, they're electrolytics, and they'll replace them with audiophile approved capacitors. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with that. Where I'm going to caution you is you cannot, without significant modifications to the crossover and hence the amplitude response of your speaker. You cannot replace an electrolytic capacitor with a film capacitor. And I see this all the time. I see people saying, well, yes, manufacturers often are very, very cheap, and they stick electrolytic capacitors in there that don't sound very good. And yeah, you know, if I replace this with a film capacitor, the speaker is going to sound much better. Now, yes, there is a cost difference. In some cases, it is a cost reason that a manufacturer will use electrolytic capacitors. But there's another very good reason. If you need a large value of capacitance, I would say anything over 22 microfarads, film capacitors can get very, very large. Now, I'm going to give you a very good visual example of this. So this capacitor right here is 47 microfarads, okay? You can see it's not very large, right? This is a 47 microfarad film capacitor with, by the way, the same voltage rating, okay? Are you seeing that? Now, I think it's obvious right away. If you have a complex crossover and you need, for whatever reason, a bunch of high value capacitors, you know, filling your speaker with these is just going to eat up your cabinet volume and you're not going to get any bass. Not to mention, imagine shipping a crossover that's got 10 of these babies on it and how you're going to hold them down, and you know, are they going to stay there and all the rest of it. And then there's other problems. You have a small speaker, or let's say even an in-wall speaker, which is one of the few places that we use one capacitor that's electrolytic because of the space constraints. An in-wall speaker has to fit in a typical studded wall depth. So you can't have, you know, parts like this in there. So that explains maybe a little bit the reason why, you know, manufacturers are cheaping out using electrolytic capacitors. That's not the case. But let's go back now to your recapping project. So electrolytic capacitors. I said that you can't just take a, you know, any film cap and swap it in without screwing up the speaker's measurements. And you may like the way that the speaker sounds with those film capacitors, and you may be now thinking in your head that it's due to the capacitor. And I hear this all the time. Oh, I recapped my crossover network and I got rid of all those nasty electrolytics and I put film caps in, and now it sounds so much better. It's more detailed. I can hear more information. Well, guess what? I'm going to put up a graph now that I did with a simple, basic crossover and just the tweeter response, where one is an electrolytic and the other curve is subbing in a film capacitor. And guess what? You're going to see right away how much the response changes. And why does it change? Well, there's a number of very detailed technical reasons going into, you know, the reactance characteristic of the capacitor. But basically, electrolytics have a higher series resistance. They have a bigger impact on, you know, let's say reducing the output level or changing the characteristics of the crossover because of that higher series resistance. A film capacitor will in most cases have a much lower ESR, or equivalent series resistance. And so what happens is that your finely tuned crossover network doesn't work the same anymore. Again, I have no problem if you want to go and take your speakers and replace all the electrolytics with film caps. Just be aware that you will be changing things. And whatever you think you might be hearing in terms of, well, it's because it's a better capacitor, is likely because you've changed the parameters of the loudspeaker. So that's just a quick word of warning. Again, there's nothing wrong with refurbing your favorite vintage pair of speakers. Things like controls and just basic cleaning and things, and rubbing oxidation off of binding posts and terminals, all of those things can make a huge difference. Recapping can be important in some cases, but please, if you've got an electrolytic capacitor on a crossover, replace it with an electrolytic, and in most cases, it will be a non-polarized, so be careful of that as well. Because if you do that, if you replace it with an electrolytic capacitor, you're likely going to keep the original sound intact. And heck, isn't that why you hung on to those speakers in the first place? So I hope that clears up a little bit of the mystery surrounding, crossover refurbing and recapping. And again, if you like the sound of the film caps that you threw in your crossover, it's all good with me. Thanks a lot for watching.